Welcome to the Newsfeed. I'm Paris Jackson. In recent years, a new small wave of younger politicians have begun to slowly win city council seats in Western Washington. These politicians, who are all under 30, are pushing to the forefront issues concerning housing affordability, transit access, and climate change. The newest member of the Cascade PBS News team, reporter Nate Sanford, joined me to share more about what he's covering and discuss this burgeoning group of younger local leaders. We want to welcome a new Cascade PBS reporter to our newsroom, Nate Sanford. Nate, thank you for joining us on the Newsfeed.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're a Murrow News Fellow, and you'll be covering policy and politics with a focus on young people. Tell us a little bit more about what you're interested in digging into.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a new position that we're kind of, still figuring out exactly what direction that's going to take. But, I see it, it focusing on a lot of issues that, stuff like affordable housing, right, that impacts everyone, but I think is often really more acutely felt by people kind of, in their 20s and 30s, right? We know Washington's not an affordable state to live in, especially for young people, right?
Your recent story focuses on a class of young council members in Washington state. And one thing that was interesting to read, but also not surprising, is the majority of them seem to question the bureaucracy of getting things done. Tell us what you found interesting about their perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So, I talked to about half a dozen council members in Washington state who are all under 30. And, one kind of common theme is that, as we know, government often moves very slowly. In some ways can feel like excuses for not getting things done. There's sometimes a sense of like, things have always been done this way, right? And maybe if you're a young person in politics, you would question, why have things always been done this way? And do we need to keep doing things this way?
Again, as you mentioned, you spoke with a half a dozen politicians. What stood out to you aside from the fact that things move slowly in government?
One really common theme was just how much housing was a huge motivator for so many people I talked to. Almost all of the young politicians I talked to are renters, right? They do not own property. And in many cases, they're the only people who sit on their respective city councils who are not homeowners. But, a lot of them were saying that it's actually really, really important to have that perspective represented, right? I think is a really a key issue for people in that age group.
There were several barriers, and one of those is the financial component of being in their position compared to their more experienced, older colleague. What was kind of that common thread that you ran into?
Yeah, so running for office is it's both expensive and very time consuming, which can be difficult if you're a young person who doesn't have a lot of time or money, right? If you're someone who's retired, maybe has savings, it's you have that time in your day to devote to both running for office and actually sitting in elected office, right? Most of these young politicians I talk to are working full-time day jobs, right, to support themselves financially, while at the same time balancing city council responsibilities, and that's just a huge time commitment that can be really hard to balance if you're like a lot of young people kind of trying to, just getting started basically, right, and entering the workforce.
Very fascinating story. Thank you so much for joining us, Nate.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. If you want to read more of Nate's work, just head over to cascadepbs.org. If you know of high school juniors, seniors, or students interested in transferring to a historically black college or university, mark your calendars. January 18th, Seattle Public Schools is hosting a Black College Expo from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Rainier Beach High School. More than 50 colleges will be there, ready to waive application fees. The district says the expo is open to students of all ages. I'm Paris Jackson. Find nonprofit Northwest News every day on CascadePBS.org.